gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collider Cast, episode 13.
Unlucky for some.
Well,
unlucky for you listeners.
If we'd actually planned ahead a little bit, it would have been perfect for episode 13 to be the Halloween episode.
But we all know we're not that organised.
No.
Hashtag ramshackle.
Indeed. So if everything has gone according to plan with our editing and posting, Halloween was last night.
Spooky.
Yeah. So we're not going to do a spooky Halloween episode where we talk about our favourite horror games because it'd be too late. So
we haven't actually played any.
Not recently, no.
No. We did that the last podcast. You were too organised. That's what happened.
It seems unlikely.
No one has ever accused me of being too organised before. So we've just come back from AireCon.
It was fun.
It was actually, wasn't it? This
I
is
enjoyed it.
I've got to admit, that's my first gaming convention that wasn't a big trade show.
Yeah.
So we actually played some games.
Yeah. So I've been to UK Games Expo a few times, been to Essen, but I've never been to that kind of little gaming convention where you actually play games.
Yeah, it was nice. Quite a sort of family friendly atmosphere to it as well. That was quite nice.
Yeah, it was really good. So just kids wandering past going, "Ooh, what are you playing? Would you like to play later?" Yeah. And then you never see them again.
But the offer was there.
It was.
Yeah.
No, it was good fun actually. It was actually quite a good venue. It's quite open. There was a lot of space for all the tables. They had 2-3 rooms.
I think it was about 4 actually, because I found another room when I was trying to find the toilets at one point.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh god.
And there was an RPG room somewhere as well,
Oh wow.
but I never found that.
Oh god.
I think that was actually by the front door when he came in.
What, the 2 people playing RPGs?
That's the bit, yeah.
All right, okay.
But they were saying for the next one they want to get a wigwam, which I thought would be kind of cool.
Okay.
So you don't get all the noise of the
Oh,
whole
yeah,
venue. It's a
okay.
little bit quieter for
Oh, I
you.
see. You don't have to sort of big chief rolling dice.
Yeah.
That seems quite a cool idea, actually.
Yeah.
So one of the things we did at AireCon was we took part in our first media panel.
We did. It's like people actually wanted to hear our opinion on something.
Well, 4 people.
Okay.
But we bulked it out. We, I'm sure they added some applauses and some other bits and pieces on there.
The big flashing light above us. Applause, applause, applause.
Yeah, it was quite fun. That was actually. If you want to watch it, it's on Breach 18's YouTube channel.
It is.
If you want to hear it, well, it was on the podcast feed. It's a previous thing on your podcast feed, and we've just found out a little edited highlight has gone into Throat Punch Lunch on the Dice Tower.
Fame at last.
So we're finally on the Dice Tower.
Hurrah!
We won't stay on it though because I think we're too naughty.
And proud.
We'll go back to our naughty corner.
Yes.
It was quite good fun doing 5 games that you hate. Or in my case, because I couldn't think of any games that I hate, 5 games that I love that everybody else hates.
And that was definitely the case.
In fact, the entire rest of the panel.
The entire rest of the room.
Well, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, some of them were contentious opinions, but it was. I find it quite good fun actually. I know a lot of the games some of the games mentioned I'd never even heard of, but it's par for the course. But there was still a lot of good discussion. So we've learned games to avoid, which is nice. A lot more interactive than I thought it would be actually.
Yeah.
And the crowd seemed to, group,
Yeah.
seemed to enjoy it.
Well, the panel were pretty opinionated anyway, so
Yeah.
that always leads to a pretty good discussion.
Yes, absolutely. It was good fun.
My favourite bit is still when Luke said another dry and another dry and boring Euro game, and then you say it's a bit like listening to one of your podcasts, Luke.
Oh yeah, my handbag's loaded.
Okay, so some games then.
Yes, we're talking about what we played at AireCon actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll quickly whiz through them because we had a whole day of gaming. We got through more games in one day than I think we usually do in like a fortnight.
I think that's probably fair, yeah.
We opened up with a bit of Mysterium.
We did. This is the first time you two have played it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been itching for you guys to play it. And every time we try and get the chance, it's always, there's something else shinier and newer. Let's play that.
Or something that we said we'd review last week.
Yeah, all of a sudden, oh crap, we've got to review that. Yeah, Mysterium can wait. We'll put it back in its box. Yes, so finally talked you two into doing it. And so, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it actually.
Yeah, I thought it was good fun.
So, very brief overview. This is the English language version of the game because there's another version which is the Polish version.
Polish, yes, yes.
Which I can't pronounce the name of. So this is the Asmodee released version, which you are basically playing Cluedo in reverse. Or Cluedo where one person's the body.
The victim. Yeah. And obviously the victim isn't just lying there, because that would be less interesting than listening to Steve Davis talk about his favourite carpet samples. But the ghost is a little bit more interactive, although they still can't talk, which makes the fun bit of the game.
Yeah. I thought it was quite interesting, because what you had to do was you're given cards which are very artistic cards, shall we say.
Yeah, they're
psychedelic.
by the same artist that did Dixit, I think.
I think it's one of the artists that worked on Dixit, yeah.
And you can tell.
Yes.
Yes, you really can.
And from these cards, you're supposed to interpret who is the murderer, where the murder took place, and what the weapon was used for.
Yes.
What I found quite interesting, I didn't realise, is each player has their own set of murderer, location, weapon that we all have to work out. Then at the end of the game, we have to work out which one of those combinations is the actual one.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I didn't appreciate at first. So at first I was like, well, why do we have to each work out our own?
It's like you're trying to work out some philosophies or some theories about who got murdered and how it got murdered and all the rest of it to begin with. So you've got 3 or 4, how many players there are, things that could explain what happened, and then you've got to pick the one that was the correct explanation.
That's not a bad way of looking at it, actually, John. That's a good idea. The thing is, the rulebook's slightly unclear about this. When you get to the last stage of the game, so basically everyone sort of gets their own sort of set of 3 cards, suspect, location, and weapon, and everyone has to get their group, otherwise you fail. And you have to get everyone through to the last phase of the game. The last phase of the game, the ghost decides what the answer is.
Right.
It's slightly unclear in the rulebook as to how this occurs. So basically the ghost just, right, it's that one. I personally try to randomise it, so I get all the tokens, the numbered tokens for each player, and I sort of roll them up and just sort of throw one out, and I basically randomise it, so I'm not kind of weighting the game too much. But it is basically up to the ghost to choose what the answer is.
That seems a bit weird to me.
It does. It's slightly unclear in the rulebook, because I went online and sort of looked at this, because I played it once and then couldn't remember because somebody else read the rules again. So I just went back and
once is quite enough.
Exactly. In fact, it's usually more than required. And then basically the ghost decides. I say I randomise it because it gives you a bit more challenge, and it gives it a bit more, I won't say realism because we're talking about psychics, but you then the ghost deals up to 3 more cards depending on how well the psychics do the first bit, and then obviously they've got to work out a secret ballot and vote who they think the ultimate solution is. So, and you won.
Yeah.
We did.
Oh, I did really well.
In spite of the ropey cards I got. Yeah.
So the next game we played, and I was really keen to play this when I heard it was on, because it's a game you're only ever really going to be able to play at a convention, was 2 Rooms and a Boom.
Yeah.
So concept behind 2 Rooms and a Boom is you're split into 2 teams and both put into separate rooms. You are each dealt a team and a personality randomly.
So you get a card that's got that on.
Yeah. So you got a blue team and a red team. One player in the red team is a bomber. One player in the blue team is the president. And the red team win if the bomber ends the game in the same room as the president. Blue team wins if that doesn't happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you get, I think it's 5 exchanges of hostages. So a team leader in each room has to decide who is going to swap rooms. So I think it's 5, 4, 3, 2, and then finally...
It depends on the number. No, it finishes on 1.
It was always 1 as the last
end,
one,
but
was it?
The starting number depends on how many people are in the actual party. So, I mean, we had something like 25, 24. So you start at 5 and then have sort of 5 rounds.
Yeah.
But with fewer
Yeah, so it's 5 rounds, and at the end of each round you do one of these exchanges.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there were some other roles as well in there. So it wasn't just the president and the bomber. There were some other characters, and you could mix and match them, was like the impression I got. So
That's
like
right.
The shy guy who couldn't tell you anything. Was it? Oh no, the mute couldn't tell you anything.
The mute couldn't speak. There was a blind person couldn't see, so they had to keep their eyes closed for the entire game.
Which was not very much fun, I must have.
There was a coy one where you could only show people what colour you were.
Yeah.
There were a couple of spies, so you had the right colour for the wrong team.
Yes.
But if you revealed the whole card, you could see it. So if you knew that there was a coy person in there, and you knew that there was a spy in there, you couldn't necessarily tell
Which
one was
was
which.
coy.
You know, are they just being coy or?
And there were also paparazzi. There were ambassadors who were freely able to move between rooms.
Yeah.
What else were there? There were also sort of neutral parties, like the president's wife, his mistress, the president's daughter, various other bits and bobs as well. So it's a nice idea.
Yeah.
The first game was fun, other than me being blind, so I basically just stood in the corner. Finish your card! Yeah, if you want, love.
I'd heard a lot of good things about this because, again, it's one of these things you're only really going to be able to play at a convention unless you've got a large group of friends. And I was really keen to try it out, but I've got to admit, I like the premise of it to begin with, and as you said, the first game was fun, but yeah,
it got stale quite quickly.
I thought it did, yeah.
I think it was difficult because you had to go around and talk to people to try and find out what colour they were.
Yeah.
But the room sort of naturally, maybe it was just the people that were playing, but the room naturally kind of divided into the red and the blue team in each room.
Yeah.
And then the people who were, spies or whatever, who were, grinning like idiots and standing on the wrong team, but still talking to those people.
Yeah,
So,
I found that there was basically almost like social groups, i.e. reds and blues, just naturally divided. And you think, well, that's my job done then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Somehow I got voted leader every time in the second game. Must be my authoritative state, I don't know. But I must point out, I won. But, sorry, my team won.
We tried to vote you out. I was on the opposite team to you. We tried to vote you out at one point. And I
just got loyalty.
You won by one vote.
I did, loyalty, man. Everyone loved me. I think my logic's right, where I think I found a game breaker. So I think I discussed it with you two afterwards, that the stats basically say that in the last round, where you're only moving one person around, if you're on the blue team, the president's team, always move the president. Because that way, he's always guaranteed to be not in the same room as the bomber. Because if the bomber's already in the same room as the president before that round, you want to move him.
Yeah.
And if the bomber's not in that room, the bomber's going to be probably coming into that room to put him into the same room as the president. So you always want to shift the president. Game broken.
well, not broken, but you're certainly more likely to win if you do that.
It did seem to be. It's like that. It reminded me of that. Oh God, what's it called? There's
Game show.
Yeah, there's a game show puzzle, isn't there, with the 3 doors and
three
one
doors.
Got to go.
Yeah, 3 doors. One of them, has the go or the winning prize. You pick a door. The host then says, right, it's not one of the other 2 doors. Do you want to change your answer? Now, the logic says, or the premise says you should always change because you then always have a 50% chance instead of a 30% chance. But that's actually nonsense. There's no incentive to change at all, because by not changing, you're essentially picking one door, or by changing, you're picking the other door. So you've still got a 50-50 chance. There's no actual bonus in changing. You just stick with what you've got.
True. We kind of all came to the same conclusion at the end of it, didn't we? We were offered a third game, and I think we all kind of went, well, A, we want to play some other things, and B,
we're bored.
We're bored now because we've kind of seen everything this game's got to offer, I thought.
I found the second game was a lot less chatty than the first.
Yeah.
In fact, there was such a big difference in the first game with the 2 rooms, because it is physically 2 rooms. One of the rooms we were in, and I was stood there with my thumb up my arse because I was blind, was really, really chatty and active, and everyone was interacting really, really well. And then you move into the other room, and it was honestly like a library. Nothing happened. There was no talking at all.
I swear that's down to the light levels. Because the 2 rooms, one had more windows with more sunlight in.
It might well be.
And I reckon it was a psychological thing.
But the second game, it was much more quiet in both rooms. Because everyone had started to suss out what happens and was a lot more cagey and sort of, are you blue or red? And then you find your blue team, and as John says, everyone sort of naturally split off. And you're like, well, we know who you are.
Yeah.
And then it was a nice idea. I just don't think it works very well.
No, I'm kind of that opinion. What I would say is a kind of a closing thing. I think if we went to another game convention like that, and the 2 Rooms of the Boom was early on in the games convention, I might still do it again. If only for an icebreaker.
Yeah.
It did work really well for that.
Yeah, because the AireCon thing, we all got name badges, so you knew everyone was. After playing 2 Rooms of the Boom, you'd spoken to 23
half
different
the
people.
At that point. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think as an icebreaker, it worked out well, but I think I wouldn't be running to go play it again, I don't think.
No, probably not.
No.
That said, in the game's defence, there were a lot of different characters. Because I deliberately asked the question in the first game, are we limited to like these particular characters for the entire game? It says, no, there's a massive deck of personalities.
Okay.
So I'd like to think, I don't know what the answer is, but I'd like to think there are a lot more, so you could mix and match a bit more and maybe find the cards that work and don't, and maybe, I wouldn't say stack the deck, but find a deck of cards that works best.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe you want to. I mean, quite a lot of the people playing were just generic didn't have a special rule. You're just on the red team or the blue team.
Yeah.
So maybe the answer is to only have
Characters.
special people.
That's not a bad idea, actually, because that way there would be always suspicion about somebody being a particular character, rather than, oh, well, you're just safe, we'll just ignore you, it doesn't matter about you.
Yeah, I did find that as well. If you wear just a generic blue team or generic red team, you did kind of get, you were ostracized straight away.
Pretty much, yeah. Like the two blind people. I was one as a girl on the red team that was also blind, and we just stood literally just minding our business. We got no interaction at all because everyone saw our eyes are shut. Well, there's no point talking to them. They don't know anything. They can't tell us anything other than their colour. Job done.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you instantly know they're the blind person because they stood there with their eyes closed or their hand over their face.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of pointless.
Yeah. Okay. So next we played Neuroshima Hex.
Yes.
Now, have we covered this on the podcast before?
I can't remember. We've played it before, but I don't think we have. No. But even if we have, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I'd say we won't go into too much detail then, just in case we have. But this is probably both mine and John's one of our favourite games.
Absolutely.
It's a Portals game. Or Portal Games game.
Yes.
It's a game from Portal Games in Poland. Mr. Ignacy Trevicek's publishing house. Mm-hmm. He's a very nice man. He likes biscuits.
He likes biscuits?
He likes biscuits.
How on earth do you know this?
I've met him. And also I follow him on Twitter.
And you fed him biscuits.
I didn't feed him biscuits, I didn't
Do you
know,
what?
but...
You follow him on Twitter would have sufficed.
Yeah.
You find a lot out about people on Twitter. A disturbing amount of information about people on Twitter.
Basically, we spoke to him at...
Sorry, I've just spotted there's a ghost on Andy's glass.
There is.
Ooh.
Take a picture.
I'll take a picture and tweet it.
I have a spooky Halloween pint.
That's pretty eerie.
So you know about he likes biscuits.
Yeah, anyway, going back to Neuroshima Hex. It's quite... I'm not going to try and explain it, actually, because it's quite complicated to explain. Because it is quite a complicated game in its premise. It runs great, it flows quite nicely, but...
The quick version is everyone's got an army, and you take it in turns to place a bunch of tiles down, and they go in a particular order, and you can modify how much damage they do, how far away they shoot, all that sort of stuff. And you've basically got to avoid your base getting hit whilst damaging everyone else's base.
Yeah.
And the first person to take the most damage and get from 20 points down to 0 is out. If you've only got 2 people, obviously one person wins, and then you can either carry on if you've got multiple people until you've got one left, or give up at that point.
And the playing area is quite aggressively restrictive, actually.
Yes.
Deliberately small.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was the second time I've played it now. And I really enjoyed it. I can see why you two like it. It's a really good game. It's really nicely balanced, because every team has kind of a special character and a special ability.
They tend to have you tend to have like mostly long range units or mostly melee units, or you're able to move around a bit more than some of the others.
Each army in that game is completely unique.
Yeah. And it seems to be really well balanced.
Yeah.
And it works well. It does, as you say, it flows really well. Easy to pick up. And I say it's my second game, and I won. So it must be easy to pick up and then develop strategy for quite quickly. Because I mean, you two have been playing it for years. So for me to be able to turn around and beat you both, it must be either that or I'm a genius. Or whichever.
Or equally as likely, Steve and I know how much of a threat we each are.
There is also that.
We spotted each other going for something and ruined each other's day and left Andy out of it a little bit more.
Picking off shots. I was going to say, rather magnanimously, to the game's credit, that it must be easy to pick up.
I think that's
true. Yeah, I think it is actually. Yeah,
it is.
It's just at first it's a difficult game to explain because it's got quite a complicated way in which combat fires off.
Agreed.
Yeah, and the way in which power-ups work. A friend of mine basically described it, and the guy who introduced me to the game described it as being like Magic the Gathering in 3D, but 100% better.
So nothing like Magic the Gathering then.
Given my comments at AireCon on our panel, you know my feelings on Magic the Gathering, so that's only a good thing.
I always think of it a bit like, it's sort of like a game of chess in some ways. Chess with guns.
Have either of you checked out, is it called The Fall?
Yes,
on
same
Kickstarter
person.
at the
Same
moment?
person. I have.
So it's Kickstarter at the moment. It is the same designer, which I'm not. It's Michael Rax,
Something like that,
I think.
yeah.
I probably
There's an
butchered
unusual
that name.
pronunciation of his surname.
The Lorax.
I'm not going to get it right. But it looks like there's a bit of hex-based gameplay in that. It's a miniatures game on a hex surface. They move, they attack, and then they're all different sizes. One part of it worries me in that they seem to be putting the miniatures front and centre.
Oh God. It is ludicrously pretty though.
Yes, the miniatures do look amazing. Well, the 3D models look amazing. None of those are actual miniatures at this point. They're all 3D renders.
Oh, are they? I haven't looked that closely. I just looked at the Kickstarter page and went, "Oh my God, I want this game," and then saw the price.
It's all just CGI, Andy.
Yeah,
It'll be added later. Yeah, there is.
It's true.
It is financially horrific. I mean, it honestly, if you wanted everything for that game, it would cost you about £500.
Yeah,
it is outrageous.
They have just redone one of the pledge levels.
Have they?
Yeah, so I think the basic pledge level gets you one faction, which means you can't play the game.
Yeah, there's 6 factions in total.
Yeah, there's the next one up gets you like a dual box set, but they've done like one with a minor add-on where you get a dual box set and one faction, so you can basically get 3 factions for £85.
That's not bad.
It's still a lot.
So is it worth then, hypothetically, clubbing together with your mates? He says, looking around, and then between you'd have all the factions.
All 6 would cost you £250.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
could
so
probably
2 each.
2 each. If you got a dual box each,
yeah,
so I think it's £50 each. I think if you got a dual box each, wasn't it?
I think it's more than that, but yeah, it'd be around that order.
All agreed? Motion passed.
But on top of
It's a
that,
Kickstarter.
on top of that, there's add-ons, and each one of those is 40. It's just outrageous. I mean, it looks incredible.
Without knowing anything else about the game, I wouldn't go near the add-ons.
No, I thought
Because
I've
it's
had a
such
look
a
at
gamble.
I've had a look at a few of them, and they seem expensive for what they are. It's like one big miniature. It's a very pretty miniature, but it's what, £40. I'm thinking, bloody hell, that's expensive plastic. That is. Because
You've not been into a Games Workshop lately, have you?
Yeah, well,
No, not for
it
about...
always was. That's not changed. That was the case 20 years ago.
And it probably was 20 years.
It probably was, actually, yeah. But I mean, I was torn. I saw, because there was a discussion on the board game group on Facebook about this. Someone put out a post. Basically, I'm torn between Deep Madness or The Edge. Yeah. Which one do I go for? So I thought, what's The Edge? Hence, I started looking and I go, oh my God, I can see the dilemma. Because The Edge is the Deep Madness is also very miniature focused. Yeah. But it's nowhere near as expensive. I mean, it's not cheap, don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near as expensive.
To get the complete experience.
Yeah, it's $100 for Deep Madness, which I have to say, for what you're getting in the box, with all the stretch goals, is unbelievably good value.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of things where, like, to have basically a reasonable game, you have to buy a load of expansions. Like, it just seems it's like sticker books. I hate sticker books for the same reason. Yeah. Because you can't just buy the thing and then you've got the thing. You have to keep spending money, and it's a gamble each time as to
That's
whether
how Magic's going. It's how Warcrack works as well.
Yeah.
It's like
I rest my case.
Yeah, exactly. I can see your point.
Expandable game. So if you're looking at any miniatures game, any card game, living card game or otherwise.
To be fair, Deep Madness doesn't do that. I mean, all of the stretch goals are obviously unlocked as you go along, and you just get them anyway. There are a few add-ons, but they're not many. There's a few miniature add-ons.
I'm a massive hypocrite, though, because there is a certain game that I have essentially
all of the add-ons,
every expansion.
Yeah. But yeah, the consensus was, if you don't possess the GDP of Zambia, then you're probably going to go for Deep Madness instead of the Edge. But if you've got money to throw at something, I mean, the Edge does look good. But not knowing much about the gameplay, it's really all about the
This is what worries me about all of them. I don't know much about the gameplay in any of them. It put me off Siege of the Citadel. Yeah. Which was a remake of an old 80s game, or 90s game, sorry, similar in style to Space Crusade.
Yes.
And I was really looking forward to it, and I looked at some of the designs. I mean, Eric Lang's name was on it, so I thought, ooh, hello, lots of miniatures. And then I was looking for the page and thinking, there's nothing about the actual game here.
It always worries me. Like, the first thing that you show, by all means, have some pictures of the game and the miniatures and all the good stuff that's going to be in the game. But God, surely, if you're going to Kickstarter a game, the most crucial thing is that you show people how you play the game.
Yes.
Or give some inkling about what the general mechanics of it are.
You'd think so.
You'd think so, but the amount won't be. the amount of money people throw at these Kickstarters means that we're in the minority here.
Yes, I mean it comes back to our, what do you think? Are miniatures more important than gameplay?
No.
And no, we are of the opinion that no, they're not. But
they are nice.
Yes. But it would appear that a lot of the Kickstarters disagree with us, and people just go for bling. Admittedly, I have gone balls deep of deep madness right now, so I am definitely a massive hypocrite. But it does look beautiful.
And I put far too much money on Dark Souls, so
There
I'm
you go,
just as much of a hypocrite.
We've all got our weaknesses. It's your turn, John. You have to get the edge, all of it.
All right.
And what else did we play? We played Dixit next, which was my first time playing it, although these two have played it before. It wasn't what I expected, but it was good.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what I expected, to be fair. All I was told was it obviously, as we've said, it uses the same art or similar artwork to Mysterium. It's very, very different to that. You basically just have a hand of cards. Somebody plays a card with this image on it and uses a phrase or a statement, and everyone else,
or just a word,
and everyone else must play one of their cards to try and link with that description. And then you turn them all over in a random order. Everyone votes as to which one they think the actual statement referred to, and you score points based on the outcome. And that's basically it. And the first 30 points wins. It's a smooth game. It's quite quick. It's about half an hour, if that.
Yeah.
Depends how many people you got to play.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's pretty quick fire.
And I really enjoyed it. It's really good fun. It's pretty. It's whimsical. And it was good fun.
It really uses your imagination as well, because
Yes.
you're trying to guess. Well, first of all, someone's trying to think of a phrase that at least one person, but ideally only one person, will guess.
Yes. Because that's optimum scoring, isn't it? Optimum scoring is only one person guesses the right answer.
That's it. Yeah, so try and get that, and then everyone else, as soon as they've heard the description, they're trying to get as many people as they can possibly get to vote for theirs. They're trying to get whichever image they've got that totally matches the one. And sometimes you find that someone will put a statement and put their card down. It turns out someone else has got an even better card for it.
Yes.
Yes.
That happened a few times. That one did,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
I did actually, yeah, because I put the night and day card, and I just happened to have a night with a woman on the picture. I thought, right, I'm having you. So I did. Like half the panel voted for it. Yeah.
Well, because the other one was a moon and the sun, and everyone thought it was too obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was quite a sneaky play.
Yeah, it was good. But no, it's quite a nice little game.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like that. It's, as I said, it's 3/4 an hour to an hour at the most. And it's quite a nice little. Again, it's a nice little family. It's not family game.
It's a good gateway game.
It's a good gateway game. It's a good social game. Because it'll get you talking and thinking.
Yeah.
You can explain it to people who don't normally play complicated board games as well, which is always a good one.
And then we played Between Two Cities. Yeah. Which was my second or third time playing it, because I got it for less than 20 quid a few weeks ago. I thought, bargainous. I'm having that. By Stonemaier, which...
Though not a Jamie Stegmaier design, is it?
No, it's not. By two other people. It's two other people. I can't remember who it is.
It's not Jamie, he doesn't care.
No, exactly. It's not. I'm not interested. And I have to admit, again, it's not what I expected, but I quite like it.
It's weird. It
is.
fits the description of what everyone said it was to me. But again, it wasn't what I was expecting.
So I hadn't listened or hadn't heard as to what it was
the
like.
first one.
What it was like. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great little game.
Yeah. It is
You won, so...
Well, I mean, that always helps.
It is a quick, simple game, which is what took me by surprise. I was expecting it to be much more complex than that.
I did as well. I didn't realise it'd be over in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, because really all it is a card drafting game. You're trying to build two cities, one in between you and... Well, a city in between you and the next player. So you're building one in between your person on the left and one person on the right. And you're going to score the worst score out of those two cities. So you need to work together with your opponent to get a good score, but at the same time you don't want them to do good, because you've got to try and balance. It's weird, isn't it?
You've got to, whatever you do, you've got to try and get the two best cities either side of you.
Yeah.
Really what you want to do, if you've got at least 4 players, really what you want is the person opposite you to do as badly as possible.
Yes.
So you want to distract the person to your right and left and make them focus on the cities to your right and left
Yes, exactly.
and make sure that you've agreed that we're definitely going to put some more factories, but no more factories over there now. That's fine.
No, you're
maybe
done,
some
you're done
shops,
now. You're
some
done
shops
now.
instead.
Yes, because I've played it with 3 players and I've played it with 4 players now, and it is infinitely better with 4.
I can't see that working with 3.
It doesn't
well.
really. It doesn't at
Yeah.
all. It was a bit of a mess. It wasn't very good with 3. 4 worked really well. I'd imagine it's better with even more players because there's more competition.
4 is probably quite good as well because if you've only got 3 people, then while 2 people are discussing it, one person is kind of being left out while the other 2 get the best.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got 4, naturally 2 people are discussing while 2 people are discussing, and it works quite fluidly.
That was part of the major criticism I have of the 3-player game, that just one person was just basically just sat there waiting for the other 2 to finish talking. That was exactly the problem.
You almost feel like there just ought to be a thing on the box saying minimum players 4.
It really should be.
Yeah, I think it should be, but the problem is, I know that it'll hit sales if they do that. The game will work with 2 or 3 players. They'll say it will, even though it doesn't work as well.
There's a 2-player variant. There's also an Automa version. You can play it on your own. I don't know how that works.
One city.
Yeah. I haven't played it. It's like the Automa versions of Viticulture as well. Stonemaier seem to be quite good at putting in sort of automated single-player variants. I haven't played any of them because I just don't think they'd be very much fun.
You don't like playing with yourself?
Not on cardboard. It's a bitch to clean. But Between Two Cities was good fun. I enjoyed that. I'm glad I played it with more players now because it's justified my purchase, which is nice.
So it was surprised how quick it was, and I think that was that's a game. Another one you could probably bring along to game night and slot that in at the end of the night, or when you're waiting for someone else to finish another game when you're moving things around. So really simple game, but
I liked it.
Really quite interesting.
Definitely worth the £20.
The last game we played at AireCon, which was a game that was new to all of us, but a game I've had my eye on a little bit, was Android Mainframe. So
I saw this at the Games Expo and I thought, I like the look of this game. I mean, being a software engineer, I would.
Yes.
It looks like hackers. It's going to be good, right?
Of course it is. It's a realistic representation of hacking.
Well,
in the same way that the film Hackers is obviously a very realistic representation of hacking.
What, you're saying that's not how it works?
Totally. It's exactly how it works, yes.
Okay,
next thing you'll be saying there's no Father Christmas.
He got hacked.
Swordfish is the one that everyone says about this.
Oh god, Swordfish is bloody awful.
But everyone said to me, the hacking stuff really unrealistic. All these software engineers, I watched it, seemed fine to me. They were tapping at a keyboard. They were saying they were accessing a subroutine. It went over my head. It was brilliant. But I'd have to say, it got to the end of the film, and a slight spoiler for Swordfish, which
you should have seen by now.
Yeah, which you should have seen by now.
If nothing else, but for Halle Berry looking quite naked.
Yes. Near the end of the film, there's a bit when they have like a bus which is loaded with stuff, and they get a helicopter to take it up. Well, all the software engineers saw the hacking and went, that's not believable. Well, I looked at this bus and those eyebolts won't take that strain.
Spot the mechanical engineer.
Yeah, it's a 5-ton SWL. That needs to be at least 15.
Oh, yeah.
Touche.
Yes, it was fun. But, oh God, what was
So the actual game...
Yes.
Lest we be distracted. The actual game, essentially, it's like the game where you've got to draw you got a grid of dots, and you've got to draw lines in between them and box in. And every time you make a box, you score something.
It's like squares.
Yeah, squares. That was it. So it's kind of like that game, except that you also need to put your token and make sure only your token is in one of those areas that you've boxed off. And as soon as your token is the only one in there, you score that area, and all the lines around it are locked off. So that bit of the mainframe is being claimed, and that whoever at the end of the game has got the most things blocked off wins, which is extremely handy if Andy takes his eye off the game for a minute.
I did not take my eye off the game. I gambled massively and lost heavily. I did not bank on the fact that you had a series of horrifically powerful cards in your hand that I essentially just king made you without even realising. What was supposed to happen was that I put in a second character into the same area, you didn't do what you did, and then you tried to remove me, couldn't, and then I had to turf you out next time, and then thus won the game, or at least contributed heavily to my victory. Unfortunately, Mr. Cage here had a card that said, no!
I just shuffled a few things around.
Yes.
I think the most satisfying thing wasn't actually winning at all. It was just making sure that Luke didn't win.
That was funny.
I gotta admit, I think we all, about halfway through the game, changed our tactics. Because at one point we were all trying to win, then it just became, let's see how much we can piss off the Broken Meeple.
Yes. Because we thought, right, John's got 24 points. The closest any of us are is 12. John's basically won the game. Okay, next tactic, piss Luke off.
Having said that, though, I only won by 2 points in the end, so it was actually bloody close.
It was actually quite close.
Yes.
One thing we haven't said is this game is based in Fantasy Flight Games' Android universe. So this is now the 4th game in their Android setting.
Because they've got Android, they've got Netrunner,
Yeah.
they've got this.
And they've
they've
got
got another one.
Infiltration.
Yes.
I love Infiltration, and I keep meaning to buy it, and I keep forgetting.
Note to
I
self.
think that's the... No, I haven't played Android. So
You haven't played
Android?
Android? Have you played Infiltration?
No, that's the one... I was going to say it's the one game I've not played, but it's not. It's 2. I've not played Android either.
Well, Android's a weird game. Android is the one that they based all these other games off. And it's kind of like Blade Runner, the board game.
Ooh.
And you're trying to frame someone for a murder, but at the same time, there are 200 other things you can do. It's like as if someone threw a load of game mechanics at the wall.
See what stuck.
Yeah, that's testing pastas cooked by throwing it at the wall.
There's a few games out there like that. Like, we've got loads of mechanics, let's just chuck them all into one game.
Yeah, and this really feels like it's beautiful.
Twilight Imperium.
Fancy Flight Games again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a beautiful game, but at the same time, you're thinking, why couldn't you just taken half of this game out?
Which one am I supposed to concentrate on?
Because it took like an hour to learn the rules for it. So I'm going off track a little bit, but the whole thing
Not like
about
us.
this game could be completely themeless mainframe. Because you said it could be like Squares. You could make it an abstract game with tokens.
Yeah.
And it would work just as well. But what they've done is they've added these special abilities which are character based. So they've taken characters out of the Android Netrunner game and added them as the hackers. So you've all got abilities you can use.
So they do things like allow you to swap your character tokens with someone else's, or do a few actions in one go, or put down a few more bits and pieces. Just give you stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do, or slight variations on the things that you would ordinarily be able to do.
I really liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I loved
did.
it.
I think I'm going to get a copy at some point.
That might be one of those few games that all three of us end up owning.
Yes.
Because you could play it with lots of different people as well. Because it's really easy to play.
Yes.
It's not difficult at all to learn.
No,
There's
it
like
wasn't at
4 rules or something. It's quite small. It doesn't take up tons of space. So you can play it on a coffee table.
Yeah.
And it's, fairly family friendly, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Toddlers, it's basically just, shapes essentially.
Maybe
I'll
not
say
toddlers.
but young children. So basically, for me, growing up is essentially you're a baby, you're a toddler, you're a teenager, then you're an adult. That's it. They're the 4 stages of life, and then you die, something like that. But so, yeah, young kids will probably do quite well at it because there's just pattern recognition. You've got to fit an S or a T or something like that onto the board. Bang, away it goes, dead easy.
Yeah.
The strategy element, I think they may fall down on, but then again, they may not.
Depends how much of a dick the other players are being to them.
Yeah, they shouldn't play you.
Oh no, they should. I like winning.
You should be proud, John, of beating children at games.
I'm glad you put games on there.
But it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was a really good game.
Nice little game.
And it's only about £25.
Is it?
Yeah, I've had a look.
Okay.
It's, I think, 25, 27, something like that. It's less than 30, but more than 20. It depends where you go. It varies by a couple of quid depending on vendor, but it's about 25 quid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I think was quite good value for what it is.
So that's Android Mainframe. I think thumbs up all round here.
Absolutely. Questions.
Questions. I love questions. My best bet. More questions, people. I love answering questions.
Where do babies come from?
No, not that one.
Oh.
So Richard from We're Not Wizards has a lot of questions, in fact.
Did you have another boring day at the office, Rich?
It looks like it. But we're not going to argue. I mean, more questions are good, right?
I mean, Five's a pretty laid-back place. I can imagine he was quite, staring out the window at the beautiful scenery of Glenrothes.
So, question number 1. Can a game have too many expansions that the overall gameplay becomes too fractured and difficult to keep track of with the abundance of additional rule sets?
Good question. Can we have another question?
Yes.
Yes.
I would agree. I can't actually think of any examples
We've
yet.
got 2.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first or shall
No,
I?
after you.
So, Carcassonne.
Right.
One of Amanda's favourite games, and in fact, one of the games that got me into modern board gaming.
Really?
Yes.
Did it pull a Catan on you?
No, we don't mention that game.
He looked quite annoyed at that.
So Carcassonne is a nice little tile layer game where you control areas, and it has got 101 expansions. Each expansion dilutes what is Carcassonne even further.
So you're basically saying just get bland, basic Carcassonne, don't get anything else?
No, you can have expansions, but don't be tempted to play with more than one.
Right. Are they modular like others?
Yeah, they're modular, yeah. So one of the expansions adds a 6th player, which, okay, you can add. There's a couple of little minor expansions, the rivers, which change the gameplay quite nicely, especially if people are using farms too much. But as soon as you start adding more expansions, it adds more mechanics, which means it gets more complicated. Because each one adds like another form of meeple. So Carcassonne is the game where meeples are from, basically.
Okay.
So you play these down, and they're your workers, and they turn into knights or robbers or farmers, depending on where you put on the board. Well, all the expansions add in things like ox carts, pigs, castles, fairies, dragons.
Jeez.
And you end up getting to the point when you've got so many things you can place down, it gets complicated. But the other thing is, Carcassonne is really nice because it takes about an hour. But when you add an expansion in, you add more tiles in,
Takes longer.
which means it takes longer. And as soon as you get to about 2 expansions, it starts to get to the point where it's like, I'm bored now. Can we go play something else? Can we just finish this? Come on, finish it now.
Skip to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hesitant to mention this because it turns out, as a result of that panel, I've discovered that, I can't believe this really, but apparently lots of people hate Talisman.
Who'd have thought?
And they're wrong.
Well, are they?
Well, yes. However, so Talisman does have a lot of expansions, and I have to admit, not all of them are as good as others. And if you play with all of them, you won't enjoy the game, I guarantee you. Because exactly like Steve says, for Carcassonne, the same thing applies really. You end up adding, well, it's almost worse in some respects because it doesn't just add a few more things that you can put down. It adds whole new sections of the board. So the Talisman board is like one big set of concentric rings. Some of the expansions add whole new corners of the board, which are basically another quarter of the game outside the main board. And there's 4 of them.
Oh.
So if you played with all 4 of those, there's a good chance that you would never, ever interact with any other player. And one of the best things about Talisman, you need to go and watch, what was the video?
The best thing about HeroQuest is the thing. HeroQuest is the best game ever. I can't work out. I think he's from New Zealand. He's the bard, he calls himself, and he's brilliant. In fact, I've been watching his other videos. The rest of his videos are just unboxing videos.
Right.
And I've got to admit, I can't stand unboxing videos.
I don't see the point of them.
I think they're the most boring thing in the world. But his unboxing video of the Warhammer Quest, the Silver Tower, is brilliant. Because it's just him. I think I could just watch him for hours upon end.
Yeah, it's the beard, isn't he?
Yeah.
He just looks like a cross between Brian Blessed and Billy Connolly. He's brilliant.
Yes.
Anyway, the best thing about Talisman is that you are kind of cramped together, especially if you play with quite a few people on the original board. You're cramped together in one small space, and so you have to end up interacting with other people, and that's the opportunity where you get to, basically stab other people in the back, which, as we well know by now, if you've listened to this podcast
There's
at
just
all,
a sly grin on his face right now.
that I quite enjoy doing. I don't mind getting stabbed in the back. It's kind of fun, the fact that you think that you've done really well and you've got all this good stuff, and then someone goes and basically pisses on your party. It just seems like, it's a good little mechanic to have in there. However, you play with all of the expansions, and you've got the werewolf one and the death stalking the board, and he's going around killing people, and some of them are quite good because they just add a few more, but if you try and play with all of them, it's too much.
Okay.
Arkham Horror's similar as well.
Yeah.
Arkham Horror's got 4 small box expansions, I think 3 big box expansions, and the big box expansions add another section of board as well. So they add another one of the towns from Lovecraft Tales, like Dunwich or Innsmouth.
So same sort of thing, really.
Yeah, but those boards add lots more mechanics. So the Innsmouth has got a separate track, which is the Innsmouth track, which basically tracks how the Deep Ones are building a city and forming their army to attack the world. So it's another way to lose the game. It's another thing that someone's got to keep track of.
Yeah.
The Dunwich one has got things that move around, so
God.
you
So
basically
it's even more nightmarish.
Yeah, and you basically need another player.
Yeah.
If you play like a 4-player game normally of Arkham Horror, you need a 5th player so that 5th player can keep an eye on what's happening on that board, basically. Because otherwise it's too much for one person to keep track of.
I think the answer to that question really is you cannot have too many expansions for a game. However, you can try and play with too many expansions to a game.
That's probably a good assessment.
Yeah.
It's interesting to have lots of different expansions because you get a different flavour when you play different ones.
Next question, again from Richard. Asmodee have just offered me £1.4 million for my D20.
Really?
But are they buying up too many companies?
Okay, so what he's probably referring to is the news which came out yesterday, which will be about a week ago from the point when you're listening to this.
I thought you were just about to say that it's coming out in the future, but by the time people hear the podcast, it will have been a week ago.
My brain hurts.
Oh, I'm sorry, you seem to have killed another camera, sir. Sorry, another red dwarf.
So this is the news that Asmodee have bought up or merged with F2Z. I refuse to call it F2Z. Sorry, I'm British. F2Z, which was already a merger of a few companies, mostly Z-Man Games and Plaid Hat.
Really?
So now Z-Man and Plaid Hat are now part of the Asmodee conglomerate, Borg unit, giant shoggoth taking over the world, whatever you want to call it.
I, for one, welcome our new overlords.
They are French.
C'est ça va? Oui, on y va?
Some people are taking this as a bit of a concern that Asmodee are buying up too many of the companies.
Okay.
So they're going to
Because,
become a bit bland, is basically the implication.
well, no, it's not bland. It's more of a kind of a worry from a point of view where you're basically getting to the point where one gaming company owns like 80% of the games we buy and play at the moment. I'm struggling to think of many companies that I buy games from now that aren't part.
Because they already own FFG, don't they?
FFG technically merged with them because the FFG became Asmodee North America. So technically they didn't get bought out, it was an agreement between them.
Okay.
But the amount of other game companies that are under this umbrella now is getting quite ridiculous.
Yeah.
You could argue that if they're pooling their resources together and they still remain independent developers, it could.
Well, this is
Be a
it.
good
So
thing.
far, the developers have seemed to have remained independent. What it hopefully means is the manufacturing can all be pulled together and distribution, which means it should keep the price of games down.
And also, if they're owned by a larger company with lots of dosh, it means each individual company is less likely to go under because they'll have the financial backing of something larger.
Yeah, less financial risk as well. Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
On the other hand, they might be beholden to their evil shareholders who say you have to write these particular types of games, no more innovation.
I can't see that happening at the
I
moment.
can't see it happening.
No, not at all. I don't so. So
We'll
there
see.
you go.
Is there a person within the industry who you would love to have on the podcast to chat with?
Jamie Stegmaier.
Okay, next.
We could probably arrange that, actually. He does appear on a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, that would be amazing if he would be on here.
Andy, if he was on the podcast, would you be able to speak?
Probably not. I think he'd be covered in my drool.
Well, we're not inviting him to come into this studio with us.
That's probably. I suspect he probably wouldn't want to be covered in my drool either. But I think Jamie would be a really good one to do.
I'm just trying to think who I would. Eric Lang's always good to chat to, basically because he's bonkers in a nut.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, you talked to Richard Denning a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah,
And he was nice.
he's a very nice man.
I agree with you guys. Also, I've got a terrible memory for names.
Just trying to think. of
We should
else.
try and get Richard on.
Yeah, we should actually.
there you
So we
go.
can ask these questions in person.
Exactly.
Do you think that was a sly hint?
Oh,
Sneaky
maybe.
Richard.
We can get Ed from Walrus Games on, from Everdark. He's a nice chap.
Most people won't know who he is.
That's
but
true.
He is,
Well, they would after listening to this.
yes.
He says,
We've
confidently.
already kind of spoken on Twitter to Stephen Barnacore of Stronghold Games, although we've already also said that the podcast would most likely to evolve into a chat about beer.
I fail to see that being a problem.
No, never do I, to be fair.
It's like pretty much every podcast. I mean,
He says,
and
drinking a beer.
and replace beer with all sorts of stuff that we didn't originally intend to talk about.
We call it the Polyhedron Beer Cast.
Something like that, yeah.
For one time, well, I'll say one time.
The
only.
podcast.
The pubcast, yes.
In fact, while we casting, we could just go to the pub.
Anyway, time to bring it to a close, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much for listening. As per usual, shout-outs, go to www.polyhedroncollider.com.
Shout-outs. We're shouting out to ourselves.
Yeah, shout out to ourselves, yeah. That's what you do on a podcast. You round up and say for all the places where you can come to us and make us feel better about ourselves.
I wasn't aware that was called a shout-out. I thought a shout-out was referring to other people.
We can do that as well.
Yeah, we can do that too.
We can shout out to Richard at We're Not Wizards.
We can,
We
yes.
can shout out to Paul Grogan at Gaming Rules.
We can do that.
We can shout out to...
Elliot at the auctioneer.
Yeah.
We can shout out to Jay.
Breacher 18.
Breacher 18.
Thank you very much. Actually, thank you very much, Jay, for recording the...
Yes. And
AireCon
Luke
panel.
at the Broken Meeple.
No, I don't shout out to him.
Nah.
Shout at him. Oh, he's going to hit us the next time he sees us, isn't he?
Forwardly cute. I think he's going to... Another person we should shout out, Mike at Who Dares Rolls. I think Luke's going to really smack him next time he sees it.
Definitely. And we should shout out to the AireCon guys. Mark and James, was it?
Ben,
that's the chap. Close. For organising it and having us on the panel.
yes,
This is really fun.
if you're in the UK or if you're visiting the UK, keep an eye out on the AireCon Facebook page and website. AireCon 4 is going to be in March, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And it's going to be moving to a much bigger venue than what we're at.
The Harrogate Centre.
Yeah, so it's further north for us. It's further us to travel. So
Yeah.
we might get a hotel.
I'll get that. Yeah, that's not a bad idea actually. We've been there for like 2 days, then that'd be good.
Yeah,
And I'll have the car fixed before then.
shenanigans.
Ramshackle.
So, thank you very much for listening. www.polyhedroncollider.com for some nice written interviews and reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Andy has been upping his game in reviewing and making me feel rather small.
It's just my usual high standard.
I've been making you feel better by doing nothing.
At Polyhedron C for myself.
At John_Cage.
And at Sonic H with a 0.
And we are on Facebook at facebook.com/Polyhedron Collider. And YouTube/Polyhedron Collider. And basically just put Polyhedron Collider into Google because we've got like the top 10 hits on there.
Do you know, funny enough, I did that this afternoon, trying to show somebody else the website, and your Dark Souls review was the top hit. Except it wasn't Google, it was Bing.
Oh dear.
I know.
Why were you on Bing?
I wasn't.
Oh, you were using somebody else's computer.
I hope you've educated them.
Were you also using the
asked.
Edge browser?
No.
Oh,
they
my
might have been. They might have been actually. I don't know.
Did you have to
I won't
clean?
say who it was.
And on that bombshell,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Ta-ra.
catch you later.